Let's talk about birds. No, really. The connection we have with the birds we see every single day, well, it turns out it's way deeper and way, way older than you could possibly imagine.
Okay, so you see a little sparrow hopping around in the park, right? You probably don't give it a second thought. But what if you did? Just think about what its ancestors have seen over thousands of years of human history. The stories they could tell. Yeah, it's a way bigger story than you'd ever guess. Because, and this is the crazy part, the story of birds is really our story. To understand our deep connection with them is to get a handle on a fundamental part of our own journey, from our earliest ancestors all the way up to us, right here, right now. All right, let's rewind. Way back to the beginning. Our whole relationship with birds really started with two basic things. One, the raw need to survive, and two, just a sense of pure awe.
So here's a quick roadmap of where we're headed. We're going to trace how our bond with birds has changed, from the Stone Age, through the agricultural revolution, and right into our modern world.
Back in the Paleolithic era, things were pretty straightforward. Birds were food, a crucial source of meat and eggs. We hunted them with whatever we had, bows, arrows, nets. But they were never just a meal, were they? I mean, these creatures could fly. That alone made them objects of complete wonder. And you can actually see that awe captured right there in ancient cave paintings. They had a grip on our imagination from the very start. And then we invented farming. And everything, I mean everything, changed. Suddenly, our relationship with birds got, well, complicated. A bird could be a farmer's absolute best friend, gobbling up all the insects that would destroy the crops. But that same bird could also be a total pest, raiding those fields and eating the harvest. So, were they partners, or were they a threat? This whole friend or foe thing, it would define how we saw them for centuries to come.
So this complicated relationship we had on the ground, it started to take flight, so to speak. Birds weren't just in our fields anymore. They started showing up in our minds, in our stories, becoming these incredibly powerful symbols of faith and culture.
You see, all over the world, in so many different cultures, people started seeing birds as something more. They were messengers, sacred creatures that could bridge the gap between our world and the heavens. The idea was they were carrying messages straight from the gods. And this wasn't just in one or two places, it was everywhere. In ancient Egypt, for instance, the falcon was seen as a manifestation of the sun god Ra. Super powerful. Over in Japan, there's the legend of the three-legged crow, Yatagarasu, who guided an emperor to a major victory. And even the regular old owl became a symbol of good fortune, partly because its name Fukuro sounds a lot like the word for.
But their role as messengers wasn't just about myths and gods. It was also super practical. For those early farmers, the migration of birds was basically the most reliable calendar they had. When certain birds showed up, you knew it was time to plant. When they left, it was time to harvest. They were like nature's own news broadcast.
Okay, so we've covered faith and farming. Now let's talk about feeling. Because birds also became this incredible source of inspiration for our art, our poetry, our deepest creative expressions. Take classical Japanese poetry, for example. A bird's cry in one of those poems is never just a sound. It's a stand-in for our biggest emotions: love, loneliness, joy, you name it. A single chirp or call could set the whole tone, the whole feeling of a piece. And it wasn't just poetry. In painting, birds were like the ultimate test of skill. Think about it, trying to capture the delicate, intricate pattern of feathers, or that split-second burst of energy as a bird takes flight. If an artist could pull that off, it showed they were a true master. And that brings us closer to our own time, the modern era. And here, the relationship shifts again. We move from just artistic appreciation to real scientific curiosity. We started asking different questions. Not just, what do birds symbolize, but how do they actually work? How do they do what they do? So, how in the world did we figure out their amazing migrations? It was a brilliantly simple idea called bird banding. You gently catch a bird, put a tiny numbered band on its leg, and let it go. Then, bird watchers and scientists report when and where they see that banded bird. And by connecting the dots from all those sightings, we started to map these unbelievable journeys that cross entire continents. It revealed this whole hidden world of navigation and endurance that just blows your mind. And all this new science has sparked a totally new way for us to connect with birds. I'm talking about the huge popularity of things like bird watching and photography. Millions of people are out there, combining that modern scientific knowledge with, you guessed it, that same ancient sense of awe that our ancestors felt thousands of years ago. So, after this incredibly long and complicated history, where does that leave us today? Well, it leads us to a new role, a really important one, the role of stewardship.
Look, our world is putting a lot of pressure on their world. So the next chapter of our story together has to be about coexistence. It just has to. And the best part is, we can all play a role. It doesn't have to be some grand gesture. Simple things: installing a nest box, putting out a bird bath, planting some native flowers. These small actions really do add up and make a huge difference.
And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Birds are so much more than just pretty creatures. They're like barometers for the planet's health. When they're doing well, it's a pretty good sign that the whole ecosystem, the one we rely on, is also doing well. So protecting them, it's not just about saving birds. It's about saving ourselves.
So, and next time you're just walking through a park and you hear a bird singing, maybe it won't just be background noise anymore. Maybe you'll hear an echo of this incredible story that's thousands of years old, a story about survival and gods and art and science, a story about us, and a story about our shared future. What will you hear?